PBR Painter incorporates the Blender Asset Browser right into its workspace. From the Asset Browser, you can import into your Blender project objects, textures, even HDRIs. Here I'm going to be concentrating on setting up a library in the Asset Browser to store textures created by PBR Painter, exporting textures from PBR Painter to the Asset Browser, and importing textures from the Asset Browser into PBR Painter. A library is a Blender file where you store PBR material texture sets, or objects and HDRIs if you wish. You can have more than one library, and you can name them whatever you like. I'm going to create a Blender file and save it as PBR Painter Materials. I'm going to save it in a folder with the same name, PBR Painter Materials. Then I'm going to save this folder in a folder named Asset Browser Libraries. This way I can add more libraries later if I wish, and have them saved in the same location. I'll place the Asset Browser Libraries folder where it will not likely get moved or deleted. I now need to tell the Asset Browser where to find this file. To do this, I need to go to the Preferences window. Select the File Path tab, and under Asset Libraries, select the plus icon, and navigate to and select the PBR Painter Materials folder. Be sure to save the changes to your preferences. If we look inside the Asset Browser window by selecting the library list, we will see the PBR Painter Materials library is now listed. To export a PBR material texture set from PBR Painter into the Asset Library, we need to have a mesh that is textured. I'm going to use PBRP 2.4_10.blend. A link to the file is provided in the description of this video. Open the PBRP 2.4_10.blend file. Drag up the border between the 3D Editor window and the Asset Browser window. Select the plane mesh, then in the Properties window on the right, select the Materials tab. Right mouse button, select the material icon, and select Mark as Asset. In the Asset Browser, select Unassigned to see the material. Save your Blender file. I'm going to save mine to the desktop as PBRP 2.4_18.blend. You can close your Blender file. We now need to add the material to the library file. Open the PBR Painter Material Library file. In the File menu, select Append. Locate and select the PBRP 2.4_18.blend file. Open the file's Material folder and append the material. Save your library file to save the transferred material. Open a new Blender file. You will now find the material in the Asset Browser. Select the PBR Painter Material Library and Unassigned. There are different ways to organize the Asset Browser. I'm going to add categories and subcategories for my materials. In the Asset Browser, I can select the plus icon to the right of the word All to add a category. I'll call it PBR Painter Materials, as this is where I want to save custom PBR material texture sets created in PBR Painter. By selecting the plus icon to the right of PBR Painter Materials, I can create a subcategory. I'm going to call this one Wood, as this is where I want to store the painted wood material I exported from PBR Painter. I can now drag the material from the unassigned category to the wood subcategory. I need to save the library file again to preserve the added categories and subcategories. To import PBR material texture sets, created or modified in PBR Painter, and saved in the Asset Browser, you need to open the Asset Browser, then locate the PBR material texture set you wish to import. I'm going to import the wood texture I just saved in my PBR Painter material library under the wood subcategory. I can just simply drag the material onto the mesh. The material name will appear in the 3D Edit Window's end panel, and all of the layers and settings will appear in the Properties window on the right. Alternatively, I can right mouse button select the material image, select PBR Painter, then select Import Material. Now I am presented with several choices. I can select all layers and then OK. This will import the whole PBR material texture set, including masks, settings, etc., just as we did by dragging the material onto the mesh. You may have to rearrange the order of the layers to see the desired result. Alternatively, I can add individual layers. For example, I might want to add the wood and paint layers, but not the Blender logo, CPR decal, or rivets. Importing PBR material texture sets saved in the Asset Browser but not saved from PBR Painter, can be imported in much the same way. I'm going to import a material from my Polyhaven library. A Blender add-on can be downloaded from Blender Market that allows you to install a link to Polyhaven's PBR Material Texture Set library on the internet. I'm going to open the brick subcategory and drag a material onto my mesh. Notice that the material name has been entered into the 3D Editor window's end panel, but the Properties window on the right is not populated with the layers and settings. To accomplish this, I need to select Set Up Material for PBR Painter, then select Use Current Material as Background, then select OK. Alternatively, I can right mouse button select the material image, select PBR Painter, then select Import Material. Now I can choose to import just the painted or filled layers and/or all nodes or only image textures. PBR Material Texture Sets, imported and stored in the Asset Browser by other means, such as by using the Node Wrangler add-on, are imported into PBR Painter using the same methods.